metaverse.
Greetings, I'm Shad, and if you've been watching my content recently, you're probably getting used to this different camera angle, and you'll know what it is intended for. It is kind of like a live stream reaction, kind of my format for reaction stuff, and I've done like Witcher trailer stuff. In this one, I have had a lot of requests for me to check out a new anime called Vinland Saga. And so I'm all on board because I saw the trailer and some of the images are on, and it looks pretty darn good. And like on an introductory note to this, okay, I really love it when there is cultural appreciation, because we in the West, we've like really caught onto some of the cool elements and the things that we can appreciate about Japanese history and culture, samurai, katana and all that stuff. And I personally like it as well if there's adaptations based on Japanese culture and things, that we do it accurately when it's appropriate. Fantasy, I get it and stuff. Now, on the flip side to this, it's really interesting to see Japanese culture, see how they adapt kind of medieval ideas and concepts into anime and manga and whatever adaptations they're doing, and it's been going on for a while. And what's interesting, I'm kind of going to be revealing my weeb side a bit, and also old school weeb side, when if you go back and you look at some of the adaptations, medieval fantasy adaptations in anime, there were some significant kind of hiccups along the way where the translation wasn't fully accurate, and there were some interesting things missed out. And what you kind of see oftentimes is when they don't really understand medieval culture and stuff like that, with the gaps that they fill in there, they kind of just fill in with their own culture and stuff. And so what you'll find in, say, medieval fantasy, certain animes and things, is that the food that they eat is like Japanese food, not medieval historical food and stuff. Now, I get it, it's fantasy and things like that, but if you want full immersion to make it really feel medieval, you want to be more accurate. And of course, one of the things that they have gotten wrong in many instances is the armor and weapon designs. I mean, if you go back to one of the more OG fantasy adaptations in anime, medieval fantasy adaptations in anime, like Slayers, with the main character Lena Inverse. Now, a better one, like Lena Inverse, was of course made to be a bit more, of course it's fantasy, but a bit more kind of non-serious fantasy. But say, Record of Lodos Wars. Now that is awesome. Like this is the creator basically wanted to make a Dungeons and Dragons anime, all right? And you got all the elements in there, and the armor is a bit better, big fantasy elements in it, and is not really authentically accurate to medieval times, or not even fully functional. So there's some flaws in there. Swords are a bit better. So look, there's been flaws along the way. Yet recently, okay, was where some of these kind of shows, TV shows, video game stuff are being produced with a medieval setting, there's been more recently some just tremendous respect done to medieval history and accuracy. The Dark Souls series, look at how just glorious the armor is in that series. Another video game, Dragon's Dogma. Like, Dragon's Dogma, they have an item of clothing in there, it's called a blonce. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's a medieval type of outer garment. And you can get that in Dragon's Dogma. The fact that they even know what a blonce mostly is, well, there we go, all right? And then when we come to anime, Vinland Saga is one of these animes where it's like, all right, well, there we go. And I mean, there's other animes. Scarlegrim did a review of, it was like Someone the Witch or something like that, but there's like fights, and she's not accurate, and the witches or magic people aren't accurate, but the background characters and scene and setting that it's based in is really authentically accurate to a medieval point in history. There's like a really good buckler scene in that anime and stuff. So when I see that, I was like, that's awesome. I salute you. Thank you for doing it. Because I guess, I don't know, cultural appreciation. I feel like they're really appreciating not just like the fun fantasy interpretations of, European medieval history, but they're going further than that. They're actually appreciating the actual historic, medieval, authentic part of it, right? And so with Vinland Saga, it really looks like that's happening. How far did they go? How authentic is it? Well, let's find out. I'm going to watch the first episode. It's not going to be like a frame watching a whole thing. So I'm going to cut to interesting parts throughout the episode that I have thoughts on, and we'll go from there, okay? Good animation. Looking at his outfit. Okay, first of all, Vikings. I don't think they just had the you know, the goatee kind of thing. Not very common to my understanding amongst Viking fashion. It's just beard, full beard, all right? Other thing, interesting, it looks like he's wearing a fur jerkin of some kind over mail. Oh, look, I have never... When it comes to the Viking period specifically, there's far more that we don't know than what we do know, okay? So is it plausible? Yes, it's plausible. Do we have any evidence for it? No. The kind of, you know, types of clothing that we would expect to find is wool, basically. Wool tunics and stuff. Long, kind of going to the knees, past the knees and stuff. That's the kind of thing you would expect. But it's not out of the realms of possibility for something like this. And he's wearing mail. Mail existed amongst the Vikings. Now, when I say Vikings, that's like, of course, you know, the people were early medieval Scandinavians. Vikings were the people who went a Viking. I get that. I fully understand it. But also understand that language is evolving and you just, you know, but anyway, subject for another video. Still, if he's wearing mail here and if they're being fully accurate, that would be there to represent that he's a fairly wealthy Viking. Anyway, so look, I'm not sure we're going to get through the whole episode because it might just be way too long. Like, you can freeze a frame on a lot of things and break so much down on it. So my goal here is just to get enough, get a conversation, you know, share any observations that I find it interesting, and we'll see how far we go. Fur, outer layer, for like jerkin fur kind of thing, outer layer, mail. It looks like a gambeson underneath, and then some type of braces with gloves. We'll shelve the gambeson thing for now. It's probably going to come up a bit later, so we'll see how far we progress. Sorry, look, this is some good animation already, but have a check. Center grip round shield. The shield is like, mwah! That's about as good as you can get. And helmet, skull cap, we see an axe right there. And the sword, like, look, if I was being particularly picky, the guard, I wouldn't go, it's not a cross guard are longer, but the guard is pretty chunky, yet the style of the guard is perfectly Viking period and stuff. And then we see a guy with a spear as well. Okay, this guy off to the side, yeah, fur kind of jerkiny coat thing over mail again. Oh, good animation right there. This guy here with the axe and shield. He done goofed, okay? See what happens? Watch what he does here. So the main character, he kind of ducks under the strike, gets behind him, and this guy, he overextends. And he's kind of opening his shield up, but it's not too much. His shield is still kind of on point there. And then he gets fully behind him. Oh, in the back. Yeah, he's gone. He's gone. Through the neck. That's like a Deus Ex Machina save right there. But anyway, we'll get to fight scene. We can let it slide a bit more, but nice boots. Love his expression. Top tier animation regarding anime specifically. In regards to the realms of anime, especially for TV series anime, this is pretty good stuff. I know there are better, of course, especially when it's like an anime made to be a movie. They can go all out. But for an episode, like episodic series, this is very good stuff. I love it. You just gotta love anime sometimes. Like, obviously bullcrap, but for the epic kind of feel, this is an action thing, they're really amping it up. I'm on board. I'm fully on board with it. That's awesome. I mean, the axe blade can only be like that big, and then he's cut a swath of what? That looks like 5 meters in front of him. I love it, okay? That's brilliant. And through mail and everything. Of course, bullcrap, I get it, but obviously this episode is going to have a bit of a violence content because there's violence in the anime and blood flying everywhere. But see, like when, you know, anime is adapting something from like medieval history and stuff like that, I'm more than happy to keep certain classic anime tropes and like the over-the-top action and violence even. Yeah, of course. Just slices a guy right in half. Ooh. Straight down. And, you know, the guy doesn't look like he's wearing any armor or anything. And just, like, the Viking style swords, okay? I like to call them swords because, of course, not just the Vikings use these types of swords, early medieval swords essentially, one-handed and stuff. They have a bit of heft to them. These are solid cutting swords, okay? They're a bit top heavy for a reason. They're meant to be used with a shield. This guy isn't using a shield, so look, maybe he lost it somewhere along the way. Yet still, what I'm getting at, could a Viking sword do that? He came down full swing, full power. If the sword is sharp enough, I would say it's possible. Ooh, close up of the sword. Oh. Do you see that pummel right there? That is a Viking style pummel. Like historical references. Here you go, right? You know? See what I mean about the attention to detail some animes are going to? Like, case in point. Viking style longships. Yep. 987 AD. So this is, that means this is towards more to the end of the Viking period. The Normans in France would be very well established, and this is not too far ahead of the Norman invasion of Brittany by William the Conqueror, okay? So how prevalent were the Vikings towards this point? Well, it was kind of starting to be phased out a bit, but the Vikings were still around. People going on a Viking, I should say. But interesting, okay, that means we have a very direct point of reference. With this point, like in time, we could expect to see kite shields. That would be all right. It would be a bit early, but because the big point in reference where kite shields we have is, of course, the Bayeux Tapestry. But we could expect kite shields, mail, even some mounted combat and stuff. But it's good. We have a point in time that this is set in. So the axe he's holding doesn't really pass authenticity review. If it's meant to be a Dane axe, it's way too chunky, too heavy. But he picks up a shield. Oh, all right, like big points to the anime right here, okay? In so many TV shows, especially anime and stuff, arrows are fine, they just dodge it. But in reality, like a volley of arrows, good luck dodging a volley of arrows. And so what do they do here? One guy picks up a shield, another guy just picks up a dead corpse as a shield to block the arrow fire. That's brilliant. I love it. So, interesting. There are, of course, as anyone would be, areas in my historical knowledge that are lacking. And, you know, the prevalency and exact use of Viking longships is one of them. I know, you know, some of the fancy features and how they are built and the advantages that they had and how fast they could get and all of these things. And Vikings, to my knowledge, rarely did naval engagements, naval combat, okay? Their whole thing was to get on land and then fight on land. Fighting on boats? I don't know of a reference where that happened. Any of you, share them in the description, love to hear. So I'm a bit dubious on that. And the goatees just look very out of place. Stop them! Sorry, kid. Very anime. This guy, what, just jumped 12 foot? No, that's like 20 foot in the air almost. So like that. Super jumps. Well, yeah, anime, you know, you can't avoid it. Well, you could avoid it. But that guy's a bloody superhuman. He's just massively... Of course, we saw the slash that we saw before. This is ramped up to pretty high levels. And in the anime's defense, if you read some of the Viking sagas and the feats that certain Vikings are described to have done in these Viking sagas, it's almost on a comparable level to the things we're seeing in the anime. And so if they're just saying we're being accurate to certain historical Viking sagas, all right, yeah, you know, it's the Viking kind of fantasy interpretation of their combat. I'm on board. I'm happy with it. I'm willing to enjoy and accept it. Knowing, of course, it's bullcrap, but yeah, I mean, you know, fantasy fun. Oh, this guy even points out, it's like he doesn't even weigh a damn thing with the way he's jumping. All right, I know. What, just action fun. The guys he's fighting are just standing to be hit. I mean, that guy kind of raises a sword to fight. He's holding a bow, like his own bow. And look, the sword is a bit chunky here. Cool, that's fine. And with the rate I'm going, I'm not going to be able to get to the full episode because this video is probably already 15 minutes and we've only gone nearly 2 minutes into the video and already there's a lot to break down. So this is obviously first impressions kind of thing. I can't do a full review, but there's a lot to appreciate already in what we're seeing. And yeah, with the it was a very cool scene. He's going backwards now. He just basically slash through all these guys who are kind of standing. Like, look at this archer. Interesting what he's wearing. Looks like a gambison. It could have just been a, you know, wool tunic. That's fine. Ooh, oh, through the neck. And yeah, Vikings absolutely used bows, arrows and stuff that exist with the skin, knees and everything. Yeah, of course. So yeah, that's awesome. And see what these are, like, what these guys are wearing, very authentic to kind of, especially the period, wool tunics, basically. Yeah, spot on. Whoa. Taking them apart. Yeah, Dane axe is too chunky. It should be kind of like a bearded axe, essentially, but not necessarily. It's still, Dane axes are pretty pronounced with their taper, so they have a smaller connection point on the shaft and they taper out to wider blade. This is far too chunky on where it's connected to the wooden shaft here. And so, nasal skull cap. Yep, it's good. I mean, so we have seen instances of like a weapon chopping through mail like it wasn't there. That was a super big hit from an axe. So I wonder how far they're going to go with the effectiveness of armor. Like in what we see here, the guy isn't wearing armor. He's just got like a tunic by the look of it. So of course, blade right through the guts. But I wonder if they're going to be doing things like that with mail as well. It is anime. We'll see. I'd love to see them treat armor the way that armor is supposed to function. Virgin Mary? So they're not fighting other Vikings here, they're fighting Christians at least. I wonder who they are. That's interesting. Ooh. Okay, like the reason why I'm pausing at the arrow shot here obviously doesn't down him. It seems like perhaps they're saying the armor he's wearing is doing something. It wasn't enough to go deep to do serious damage. I wonder, we'll find out. That's why he should have kept that shield. Don't know why he dropped it. Ooh, disarmed. So, yeah, look, still, I think the connection point is still chunky, but Dane axe, I'm happy it's essentially, I'm happy they're showing axes so prevalently, because if you want to see one of the most common weapons that the Vikings use, it wasn't swords, it was axes and spears, absolutely. And so we're seeing axes, a lot of them, that's brilliant. Oh, fancy move. Whenever someone fights in combat, okay, if they're going into combat, they're going to train to do it well. And so you could expect types of martial arts to have existed amongst the Vikings, absolutely. Do we have any evidence of that? No, but it's logical, okay? If they're fighting, they're going to train to do it better. And so I like that they're showing this guy, he's got moves on him, okay? He is a good fighter with technical, advanced trained skill, like a move that we see him pull off here. Very nice. He ducks the strike, grabs him pulling him over the arm like this, and just a nice technical martial arts style throw. Oh. Poor final execution. He went with him. I'm sorry. The guy's wearing like a full male hauberk, okay? He should be sinking like a rock. And is holding a sword. He's wearing an anchor and then is holding another anchor in hand and is just floating there. That's bullcrap, okay? I'm not sure I could even excuse this just because look, he's just swimming like he's wearing normal clothes. I like it. The sword is beautiful. Great shot there, but just swimming. He should have sunk like a rock and is clearly he's basically functioning on superhuman level. So he could have just said, look, he sinks right to the bottom, but because it's just so damn tanked, he just walks along the bottom of the sea to the shore and is able to hold his breath for however long it takes. You can say it didn't take too long because they were close and stuff. That would have been a lot better. The fact that he's just swimming with mail on, no, I'm sorry, no. So he's walking now. Maybe he did sink. Alright, so with the amount of commentary that I've been able to pull out just for the first 3 to 4 minutes of this, not going to have time to do the whole episode. So what I'm going to jump to the trailer of Vinland Saga, because that means we're going to get some more sweeping shots of the anime overall to get an idea of some of the aesthetics that they're pulling from. So let's have a look at that quickly, just to round off my review of how well this anime looks to be depicting the Viking period, essentially, the latter end of the Viking period.
はるか西、海の向こうにヴィンランドという名の土地がある。そこは暖かく豊かで奴隷商人。
I love the shields being used to protect, of course, through the arrow fire. They're fighting a wooden, defensive, and that wooden defensive embattlement, it looks very authentic. Then you see a guy doing this massive superhuman. So clearly we've already seen that the heroes in this series are essentially superhumans. They are so tough. And it's an anime thing. I'm on board with it. I can enjoy this epic, heroic kind of tale where the heroes are really heroic and they're doing some crazy superhuman stuff. But I'm on board. I can enjoy it. And there's a lot to appreciate about this scene, just separate to the superhuman leap. Yeah.
戦の炎も届かない遠い地。そこなら誰も。
I have no idea what I'm saying. Probably should have looked up with one subtitles, but I probably wouldn't have read them anyway. I'm here to experience it, okay?
追っては来れない。
So it does look like the animation quality remains fairly consistent through it, and this little guy, it looks to be the main character, and he is just an absolute nutter. Look at it, like, so cool. All right. Oh, hang on. Look at that. That's beautiful. Yeah. Mwah. All right. And the eye, that's very Anglo-Saxon style helmet right there. Beautiful. A full beard. Well, good to see that this guy's a full beard at some point. Get rid of that stupid goatee. So they did a good job with the sword.
おるぜ。会えて嬉しいぜ。あんたから匂いを感じるんだよ。
This is why I kind of, did some wink wink and nods to the camera whenever I saw something that I was looking a bit like a gambus. And now we see something that is definitely a quilted type of, textile armor, gambeson, right here, okay? And the reason why the winks and nods to the camera is because there's an open kind of debate happening about whether Vikings even had gambesons. And I've already mentioned where I sit on that, and I've heard the counter arguments, and it was very interesting. I don't have the time to go into it. Perhaps I'll do a dedicated video to share what my further thoughts are after hearing counter arguments to it and stuff like that.
俺と同じ匂い。剣が欲しい。
Oh, okay, it's a knife. I was going to say that's a weird looking hilt for a sword, but okay. Nice. Yeah, maybe.
トロフィー。剣。
Ooh, very cool, very good. Now, when it comes to like the fanciest swords and stuff, I'm perfectly on board with them kind of breaking some traditional sword convention design, because this is supposed to be a unique, like, iconic, distinct sword that was made to stand out, to be different from the normal type. And especially, perfectly on board. And it looks like there's even crosses on there, maybe some Christian influence with the design of that one, but yeah. I like it.
剣は人を殺す道具だ。お前はこれで誰を殺すつもりなんだ。本当の戦士には剣などいらぬ。
And there we go. All right, this has been my first impressions of Vinland Saga. We didn't get too far into it because there's a lot to say. And if I did a commentary on the whole first episode, it'd be like 4 hours long, I think. But I gotta say, I really liked what I saw. I'm on board. I want to watch this now. I'm gonna check out the whole thing, because what I did see was brilliant. There were some particularly accurate elements in just a few minutes we saw. There was the respect that they have shown to this point in history, and of course to make they're not making a documentary. They want to make it fun, and the action was just over the top. That's heaps of fun. I love it. I'm on board. That's good. So there we go. What did you think about what we saw in Vinland Saga? If you've seen the whole thing, share what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Really look forward to hearing them, reading them. Thank you for watching, and of course I hope to see you again. So until that time, farewell.